down into three areas. One, the actual negotiations that are going to place. Two, the climate of the changing labor dynamics within the mine sector or the mining industry. And thirdly, the commodity prices that we are seeing facing a challenge globally. That is going to factor critically into how the wages moving forward unfold. Remember, this year, 2016, it's wage negotiations for platinum sector and for the auto industry. In the auto industry, the dominant union is NUMSA. In the platinum sector, the dominant union is Amcu. Even in the auto industry, there's a segment of it still represented by NUMSA called vehicle assemblers. In the auto industry, they too negotiate separately and are represented by NUMSA. So collectively, the sectors, we are looking at possibly about 500,000 workers if wages are not settled properly down in tools, if ever we were to reach that level.
Now, the one standout at the moment is COSATU putting forward to their member unions. They put a directive forward to them. They said that this year they should opt for job security instead of high wages. How do you view that, and how do you expect that to play out?
Well, it is understandable that COSATU would say that. One, they are no longer the majority union in the two sectors that I have mentioned. In platinum, it's Amcu. In auto, it's NUMSA. And NUMSA now, it's no longer within the realms of COSATU's circle. So they would call for level-headedness because NUM represent a portion of the platinum sector. And understandably so, because the 12,500 demand is not a demand that was initially carried out by NUM. So COSATU calling for job security, I kind of like expected them to say so, and I do not see how it's going to affect the other unions. Hence I said on the onset of our conversation, the politics of changing labor dynamics within these sectors are going to determine how wage negotiations unfold moving forward.
Now, of course, for the benefit of our viewers, Amcu, who you've pointed out, the majority union within the platinum sector, they've been very straight. They maintain 12,500 Rand for entry-level workers across the board in the mining sector is what they propose. How do you view this in the background of sustainability and, of course, commodity prices and all of these things that we've mentioned in the lead up to this? I'm
going to be realistic, and it's something perhaps that workers affiliated to Amcu might not want to hear. The employers are going to come back and say, listen, we cannot afford to give you 12,500 because of the conditions we've already mentioned before. However, one thing we must be aware of is that Amcu, this is not new. They have consistently, timelessly, in a flat-out tone said 12,500. So it has become the theme. They are negotiating on actual wages and not on percentages. And that, I do not see them changing it. Equally so, I do not see the employers changing their angle of approach to say, we cannot afford 12,500. Do remember that in our broader narrative of South Africa's labor, certainly we tend to focus on negotiations on wages, but there are other add-ons, benefits and maternity leave and so forth. Perhaps that's where the unions might reap some rewards, so to speak, and pick low-hanging fruits. As for 12,500, it's going to be difficult for the employers to say they can afford it. Equally so, the union will say to the employers, but the executives, none of the executives have had a remuneration card or high-level executive in mining companies, not just in platinum. There hasn't been anybody who has voluntarily said, I am going to take a cut in wages so that I can relate to the workers. That is going to be the thorn. But for me, what would be the key point is, with the employers at the platinum sector have learned before the 2010 negotiations, or are we going to see it carry it on the way it did before?